Well, joining me now, a TalkTV trio, Isabel Oakeshott, Richard Tice and Paula Rhone-Adrien. Richard, how has it come to this, that companies now feel a desperate urge to impinge on the rest of us, their own supposed values and beliefs, and if we veer from them, we're somehow evil?
Well, I think we're absolutely seeing that if you go woke as a company, you will go broke. And you've read out lots of companies there who financially have suffered, and actually NatWest and Coutts will financially suffer from this. No question at all. Hopefully, the lesson to be learned out of this is we are possibly at peak wokeness. But the reason we've come to it, Piers, I think, is because of weak leadership on the boards of directors of these companies who have fallen for this stuff that has come from younger people underneath, and they haven't had the courage to say, don't be daft, where's the common sense, stick to doing a good, producing a good product and selling it to customers
Paula, it's
that want to buy a beer.
I've seen this myself. I saw it at ITV when I went through my exit from Good Morning Britain. A lot of the aggro was driven internally by young wokies at ITV. I know you don't like the term, but let me explain what it means.
No, I do like the term. I like the term woke. I support the term woke because I know what it means.
What do you think it means?
Well, it's not what I think it means, it's what I know it means.
No. I know what it used to mean. I read a book about it. I read a whole book about it.
Know what it
it's the number one bestseller, right?
It still means the same thing.
I know what woke used to mean, raising awareness for social and racial injustice. Right. I get it, right? That is not what today's woke means.
Well,
today's woke is the new fascism.
That may be your misunderstanding, but I understand.
Today's woke is what Coutts have just done to Nigel Farage.
No.
And by the way, hang on.
Let
me ask you a question.
Okay.
I'm a Coutts customer too. I'm not happy about this. I rang them yesterday to have a chat with them about it. They wouldn't even talk to me about it because they couldn't confirm that Nigel Farage is a customer, right? Because apparently he breaches his privacy.
That's data protection, is it? I mean,
right, except they're briefing left, right and centre to the media about Nigel Farage.
Data Protection Act is also...
But here's my point.
Is it?
The point I made yesterday, I'm going to make it again. I have a lot of what people think are controversial opinions. I don't happen to think they're very controversial. But why are my controversial opinions allowed by Coutts and why Nigel Farage is not? And why, if you believe in free speech, if you're a genuine liberal, would anyone be happy with someone like Farage, regardless of his politics, having his bank account taken away? Because I don't get it.
So Nigel Farage knows better than anybody that we live and work in a capitalist society. As a private bank, they have decided, as a bank, they have decided that their customer is undesirable.
But did you read why?
It's undesirable. I did.
Isabel, come back in a moment.
I know, but...
Isabel, you can respond to what she says.
Has decided that he's undesirable and therefore no longer want to...
But did you read the reasons why?
I did read the reasons.
All of them?
The reasons why. I did.
Because it was actually shocking.
And do you know what?
A lot of it was down to he likes Novak Djokovic.
I mean,
well, on that basis, most of the people on Twitter last week have to be banned.
The biggest irony of this is, there's two. The first is, as I understand it, and you'll correct me, Richard, if we were still in the EU, that wouldn't have been allowed to happen.
No, absolute nonsense.
The second thing is, why are we concerned about one millionaire when there are over a million people who are lower income status, who cannot get access to bank accounts, and who cannot,
All right, Isabel, you report.
And therefore suffer because of that. I mean, you say that's all right, but we're talking about one
Here's
man.
the truth.
There are over a million people who are struggling, who are suffering now.
Paula, if this was Keir Starmer that happened to, you just said the complete opposite.
Oh, my goodness. You know
Isabel.
perfectly well that it isn't just one millionaire. You know that this is the absolute tip of it and that loads of organisations and individuals are being debanked for their political views.
What I understand is that because of Nigel Farage, the Treasury has suddenly decided to change rules. When you're poor, when you are of low income, when your status is not the same or considered to be the same as Nigel Farage,
it's completely the opposite. There's a Facebook page of 10,000 NatWest customers.
Can I ask, Piers, how strongly do you feel about this issue?
Pretty strongly, actually, because I think it doesn't matter whether you're on the left or the right. The idea that a bank is taking a view about people based on their opinions, because there's no criminality attached to Farage that has been unearthed. They couldn't point to any. A lot of it was he gets on with Donald Trump. He likes Novak Djokovic and all this kind of thing. I thought it was ridiculous.
Completely ridiculous. So my question to you is, and this maybe you think it's a bit of a cheeky question. It's only just occurred to me. Why don't you shut your account with them?
Well, I want to talk to them, actually. I do want to talk to you.
Because it is only by people like you doing that that organisations will realise that customers are going to leave.
I've been with Coutts a very long time. They've always been very good to me. But I've got to say, I find this episode deeply concerning. And for the boss of NatWest to say, you know, we should never have done this. Yeah, but a lot of your executives were involved in this.
But you know, I've had accounts closed by Metrobank, by Tide.
They wouldn't give me any
with cash in for no reason.
Really?
They wouldn't tell me why. With the Metrobank, it was with the Reform Party account. I gave a press conference at the time. They wouldn't give any reason whatsoever. I've submitted subject access requests. It'll be very interesting to see what they say.
So tell me something.
It's got nothing to do with Nigel. It's all to do. Tens of thousands of small businesses have had their bank accounts shut.
This isn't actually a story about Nigel Farage, and that is quite frustrating, that it has turned into a story about one man whose feelings have been hurt.
No.
This
is about,
they lied.
as I said,
they
over
lied.
1 million people who have been shut out.
Paula,
they lied.
Hang on. They briefed Simon Jack. They briefed Simon Jack at the BBC deliberately, and it turned out he was sitting next to this woman, the boss of NatWest, the night before at a dinner. By coincidence, we don't know. Right, but they briefed him, and he put out that it was actually the real reason was financial. He didn't have enough money in his account. It turns out that is not true. And when you read the full account in the Telegraph about this, it turns out a major part of their thinking actually were about his political views, which on the equates of Brexit, that's half the country. Right, so this idea that because he likes Trump and likes Djokovic, and you know, and may or may not have known some Russian people, whatever, none of this is a good enough reason to kick off his account.
A huge percentage of Coutts' own customers will agree with Nigel on many of these issues. So are they going to fire all of them? I mean,
I would feel the same way if it was someone on the left, right? So I don't take a partisan position. Too many people I see responding to the Farage story take a partisan position. Where I always believe in swapping names, right? When you do a Biden story, imagine if it was Donald Trump and so on, and the other way round, and see how you'd feel. And if you feel the same way, that's your belief. Right? Whereas it's not a partisan position.
And I can totally agree with you on that, which is why I say this is not a Nigel Farage story. It isn't, but it is being played out as if it's about.
You know the most stupid thing about
Nigel
it, Paula?
Farage.
You say that, but actually at the end of their assessment as to why they were going to remove his account, they say, we are aware this will be a PR problem.
I know, yeah.
Right? And then they still do it, and then the boss of NatWest, the overboss of Coutts, has to issue a grovelling apology to Nigel Farage. This playing right into his hands, of course, because he's a broadcaster and a politician. Of course, it empowers and helps him. But that's frankly the price you pay when you do this kind of thing.
And Paul,
in a country like this country.
Where I agree with you is it really sticks in the throat to hear Coutts talking about inclusivity when they are one of the most exclusive banking houses there are.
Yeah. I mean, that again, I just found that laughable. Anyway, I will be talking to Coutts, and it'll be an interesting conversation. Because I think they only think I want to talk about Farage. Actually, I want to talk about myself.
Thank you.
Am I going to have to read? Am I going to read one of these reports about my views? Yes. And if not, actually, why not?
Right.
I mean, either be consistent or don't. But
get them on the programme.
I will ask the boss of Coutts to come on.
I'd love that.
And I think they should. And we'll have a proper conversation about what makes a reasonable person.
Be quite interesting. You should submit a subject access request from Coutts about you. It'd be interesting reading.
It would be interesting reading. Maybe not be too hasty here, Tice. You've prompted this. Let's turn to weaponized incompetence. Women are starting to call out their men for lack of responsibility over household chores, with videos mentioning the term weaponized incompetence receiving 1.5 or 148 million views on TikTok. Let's take a look.
I'm going to show you guys what weaponized incompetence is. It's something my baby daddy loves to use against me very, very well. Last night, I went to bed at like 10. I asked him, hey, can you please clean the bottles, right? If I were to ask him, hey, I thought I asked you to pick up the kitchen last night. Oh, well, you only told me to clean the bottles, and I did clean the bottles. You didn't tell me to put the food away, and you didn't tell me to clean up the rest of it. That's weaponized incompetence. He's playing stupid to basically win an argument.
No, I mean, don't call me Nostradamus here, but I suspect, obviously, you two are a couple. And I would imagine Richard is one of those that's probably quite guilty of weaponised incompetence.
He is tremendously competent in many respects.
Household chores?
But I have to, he's not bad on that, but I have to say when it comes to looking for things, the most cursory glance around a room for a lost item results in nowhere to be found, sorry, can't find it anywhere. And Paula, you'll relate to this.
I do.
You find it in about 2 seconds, precisely where you told them it was.
Yes.
anything to say?
Paula, have you experienced weaponised incompetence?
Every day.
I have experienced it. Clearly not in the last 14 years of a very, very blissful marriage, but I have experienced it. But remember, we don't only see that type of behaviour at home, we also see it in the workplace, and that unfortunately causes significant issues in the workplace, as well as...
So if I leave I could take my suit off after the show tonight and just leave it lying around for Kerry, my brilliant assistant. If I leave it for her to pick up, is that weaponised incompetence?
Absolutely. Or if you, for example, just forget that you were supposed to have researched X, Y and Z, and you expect one of the fantastic runners who work for you to compile a report for you. You could have done that yourself.
Richard, I mean, is there a grading here? Like, if you're the hunter and provider of the household...
which I am, I'm the hunter.
You bring in the big bucks, you work the long hours, all that kind of thing. Are you entitled to down tools on the household?
That's a big if.
Are you entitled to basically be incompetent when it comes to that?
I actually think that I'm going to plead the fifth.
I'm
going to be an American.
Careful, yeah.
Because I could get in serious trouble.
May the record show Richard Size finally was shut up at the idea of dipping his head over the parapet of weaponised incompetence, which says it all, you big doormat. Good to see you back.